Hey everyone, it's Julie back with another Resolving the Occupancy Puzzle edition of the Grow Your Occupancy Podcast. Today's episode covers Chapter 5, Not Enough Leads, Lead Quality. This webinar is brought to you by SalesMail, the #1 personalized video app for senior living.
Built on a powerful ROI and an unmatched customer experience, SalesMail's App Store ratings tell the only story you need to know. Generating higher click-through and conversion rates, SalesMail is a video app of choice for sales and marketing pros everywhere. Day after day, SalesMail users leverage video to build brand loyalty, create human connection, quickly establish trust, stand out from competitors, and get desired results faster.
So in a sense, you might get enough in the number, but you don't have enough quality leads in your database. All right, the two things to look at here are the solutions. Number 3 from the list of solutions is your prospect pipeline. Knowing your prospect pipeline, is it a lead quality issue, and how to identify that, right? We're going to go through that and how to solve that. The other piece of this or solution from the list of 10 is on page 76 is increasing non-paid referral sources. So lead quality, non-paid sources, and qualified, at least sales qualified, right? We don't know if they're moving qualified until we connect and do discovery. So let's look at taking this chapter apart, okay? First is the reports. So you want to make sure that to identify that this in fact is an issue for you, you're going to look at outreach activity, specifically appointments, and look at your overall marketing plan, but specifically what on the external business development, what is happening, what's not happening. So outreach appointments, the quality, the follow-up, setting next steps, lead source analysis, move-in analysis, even more importantly. All right, and I'm going to sneak in events. If you have a report on events, know how to pull that, or if you don't have a specific report in your CRM, how you're tracking events. So the lack of lead quality obviously it affects everything, because it's going to affect your connection rate, the tour conversion, connection to tour rate, and certainly that at the rate people fall out of the pipeline from tour to sale, but primarily it's at the top of the funnel when we realize either can't get with people, or once we get with them, they're not qualified. So there's two solutions, like I said, in the 10, now that I narrowed down the list from 19 to 10, is solution 3, which is your prospect pipeline, knowing your lead status, lead source analysis, your unpaid referral sources. Those are move-ins that occur without a move-in fee, and obviously knowing those paid sources as well. If you use aggregators, there's also local referral agencies that are pretty prevalent in most geographics. Solution 4 is your outreach activity expectations. That includes events. So first, if you use aggregators, I'm going to speak to you. If you don't use aggregators or paid local agencies, this doesn't really apply to you, but you got to know your prospect pipeline, what percentage of new leads coming in are on the paid category or bucket or unpaid. You don't need as many unpaid, right? Because they convert at a higher rate. But what we see is, and what I see is that the leads coming in for those that use aggregators and those paid agencies, those two buckets take up a large percentage of the database. Certainly digital marketing does, online leads overall, but breaking out aggregators in aggregators is a subset of digital. By the way, in your CRM, if you're tracking aggregator leads under professional referrals, I suggest changing that. Aggregators are not professional referrals. So first of all, know your pipeline percentage. And that goal is to increase the numbers of non-aggregators or non-paid sources. Look at your lead source analysis. And then you're going to look at the status of your prospect pipeline, You might be surprised that how many community teams don't really keep correct tabs on hot, we'll just say hot, warm, and cool. And if you use other CRMs that label it in different verbiage, or you might use slightly different verbiage, some use that future bucket or break out new leads, ones we haven't connected with yet. So new, hot, warm, cool, future. Oh, I don't know. People say, oh, I don't really look at that. Or, well, yeah, well, I don't want to put hot because people will breathe down my neck. So I'll just label them warm, right? The majority of databases, more than 85% of databases are made up of cold leads. All right. So knowing your lead status, your stages, it's important, and making sure that that's defined, that your company has definitions around, the hottest of the hot. I like to separate. Very hot means I'm projecting this month. Hot, I'm 80% confident that they're in that action stage. It's this, I'm not sure this month, but certainly in the next 3 weeks. Warm, for me, warm should be like they're engaging they're communicating with me. It may not be 60 days, which a lot of people say 60 days and it's warm. I think that warm should be extended out to, I'd say the next 6 months, they're warm. The timing of a move-in is definitely one benchmark, but another one is how actively are they engaging with us. You can have a cool lead or a lead, maybe a prospect. We're not quite, they haven't really defined the timeline. Maybe we're not so sure right now, but they're answering our calls. They're communicating, they're responding. To me, that's not a cold lead. Even if they said, we're not ready right now, or we are, 1 to 2 years out. That's 1 to 2 years out, unless you're a life plan community or CCRC, where people truly look at 5-year plans, sometimes 10-year plans. You're memory care. There's no future status in memory care. Even assisted living. Is there really a future status in assisted living? If people really 1 to 2 years out, there are prospects who move in that have been in the database that long. And kudos, first of all, when you're moving people in that have been in your database for longer than 30 or 60 days, 90 days, you're nurturing prospects, but that's not it's not as common, right? Or independent living, maybe a year, maybe 2. But primarily or predominantly, when someone says 1 to 2 years, it means, don't pressure me, right? So, we just put them in the future status. We see that quite a bit. So I don't know how much of a fan I am about future status. If you do use it, clear definitions around the stages or status of your leads. So I talk a little bit more about that in the book. And I also talk about prospect pipeline time management. that your, generally speaking, 70% of time is going to be spent on those hots, like the smoking hots, the hottest of the hot. And then 30% is engaging with the warms and warming up cooler leads, planning the follow-ups, the nurturing, your personal touches, engagement, video, messaging, home visits, role play practice, strategic sessions, maybe working through their objections. Do you even know their objections? What advice was given? Working through strategy, very, like, some people call them case studies or role play sessions, strategic closing sessions done internally. That's part of that, maybe 30% of time. It could be even 65, 35%. What I find is 95% of the time is spent on hots. And we need new ones. We need more new leads. We need leads that are come through the pipeline quickly. We'd love them. And yes, please give us more of those. But if you're not nurturing the prospects and leads that came in last month and the month before and the month before and 6 months ago and 8 months ago and a year ago, depending on maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, if your life plan, you're not going to keep your building full. We need to continue nurturing. So I go through coaching questions to ask. Here is an area I find, I'm not going to say everyone, here's an area of opportunity. We'll just put it that way. How to position conversations. So coaching questions to prompt actual conversation. Sales directors, and I'm talking general, okay, not every single sales director, but what I've seen and I've experienced, that sales directors are asked the same question over and over and over again, sometimes 2 and 3 times in a week. We're going to get on calls and with different various groups and operators, owners, investors, regionals, VPs. What are hot leads? Who can we close this month? Let's do a hot lead review. What can we do to close this person? What can we do to move them to deposit? Well, why aren't they depositing? And then we jump to solve. Well, let's offer them this. Let's invite them in. Let's invite mom in for music class. Let's do a home visit. And they're under the weather. Let's bring them some soup. We're just jumping to solve. We're jumping in with solutions or ideas that likely the sales director has either done or thought about or considered, or the atmosphere in which that advice is given feels very top down, and it may be an environment where the defenses are up. Sales directors it feels almost like criticized. And again, it's not the intention of anyone that's in positions that's doing that, but it's what I often see is that, well, I've tried that, but this, right? So it's like that. It's like jumping to solve. It's like giving a prospect, telling them jumping to solve too soon, needs matching. You hear a problem or a prospect, and we're like, oh, we can solve that. We jump. What does a prospect do? A customer's like, well, because they're not ready. They're not ready to eat, what you've served up, the meal we've served up. You got to set the table, right? So in coaching, as I mentioned in previous podcasts, working with their sales directors and coaching others, whomever it is you're coaching, the approach is going to be very similar and the same as working with prospects. So open-ended questions. What's your objective? If you're really trying to work things through or get someone to think about what questions to ask or what might be a good opener, conversation opener with the prospect, truly doing a strategic session, that's coaching, right? So open-ended questions, find out, seek first to understand. How many leads are actually prospects? What percentage of your prospects or leads are coming in from paid sources? Let's look at your database. What percentage are in the pre-tour? What percentage are in the post-tour? How well does your sales director, your sales counselor know their pipeline? What percentage? Let's take a look at the prospects who visited more than once. Or let's take a look at the prospects or the leads who have not, the prospects you connected but haven't toured yet. Oh, 74% of your database hasn't toured. There's an area of opportunity. It it could be the other way around. Could be 50-50. Choose one area though. What is the problem in essence, or what is the objective of the conversation? When, in other words, what would you like the sales director focused on? And maybe you don't know. That's the objective. Let's figure out one area, the area of greatest opportunity here. So these are coaching questions to determine and help the sales director determine the health or the status of the prospect pipeline quality. Sometimes, I'll share screen on coaching sessions in the CRM, and I can tell from the looks on the faces that pulling this information is new to them. That you can pull the status. Oh, wow. So 67% of your leads have already toured. They're in post tour. Let's take a look at that, right? So what I'm doing when I'm asking those questions is, I wonder why that is. So instead of saying, why do you think that is, or what's happening, because they won't know, it's up to the coach, to engage to help figure this out. And so in other words, where are the gaps? Like, why is there this many post tour? Why are prospects getting stuck in post tour? And then all the pieces, all the things that bubble up to that. Hope I'm making sense here. This is a lot. I could do, and probably I should do, a podcast just on coaching. What percentage? Again, it's open-ended on page 69. Open-ended coaching questions to ask to help bring visibility, right? Bring awareness to the prospect pipeline. Could be like, what percentage that you're even contacting, connecting with? At what stage of the process are they falling out of the sales funnel? And why is that? Let's take a look at that. That's lead quality, prospect pipeline quality, and status. Right? If you're looking at a pipeline and 80% are pre-tour, if we made a connection, they're pre-tour, that's likely a discovery. That's a connection, discovery, not literal connection. If they've talked, I've made connection, and I've had a conversation, and they've not toured at a rate more than 50% of the time, there is likely a discovery, quality of discovery issue. All right, so next, what I'm going to cover now, it starts on page 72, things that you likely already know, but it's good to bring awareness to. Your unpaid referral sources that convert at the highest rate: friends, family, residents. Friends, family, residents. That may stop right now if you don't have a friends, family, residents program in place and a communication system and process, that this is communicated regularly, it's featured, it's shared. You've got surveys in place, post, move in within the first 30 days, a process and a system of meeting with residents, meeting with families, making sure that satisfaction rate is really high, asking for referral, or is there anyone else anyone that goes to your church, neighbors, people who the highest likelihood of family and resident referrals happens within the first 30 days, as long as the experience is positive. And then The second is at the end of at the time, at the length of this at stay. If they've passed away, and the length of stay has been very positive. I know for the community my father lived in for 6.5 years, I'm on their list, and I said yes, I'd absolutely be a referral. And I've been asked several times to call someone or to connect with a prospect and give a referral. And I did Google reviews, and it was very, very positive experience for my dad. Very happy to say that. So absolutely make sure you've got that friends, family, and also team members. Do you have a team member referral, employee referral program in place? Your drive-by word of mouth, the more outreach and regular outreach and networking and community presence, the higher the rate of word of mouth. Track word of mouth. You also notice that, like, so it could happen that those word of mouth where I knew you, and when we really trace some of those back, it's someone at my church or my neighbor, and that's what, well, I heard of you, I knew of you. And all of those things, right? All those conversations, we used to call it kitchen table marketing. Social media, seeing what's happening. I know I follow many communities and many companies online, and there's some that come to mind that it's just they're the culture just seeps through in a very positive way on social media. It makes people I've never met, or communities, many companies, many communities that I'm not personally aware of, and I feel so positive because I see their presence online. So that's really, really important as well. Being engaged in the community, and that's not a one person. It's not just the sales director, right? Your executive director needs to be out in the community on a regular basis, perhaps at the chambers or the Rotaries, maybe at a volunteer organization, maybe it's at a senior support type organizations, volunteer organizations, something on a regular basis. Doesn't have to be 10 times a week, it could be once a month. The executive director, what other team members, what other team leads in the community, what other employees, what other staff are out? Certainly every time the van is out and about, right? There's gonna virtual or movable or moving advertising. We're seeing, when we were at the local theater recently, and one of our local communities residents were attending the show, and I get such a great feeling about that. We recently also attended a Memorial Day event. It was outside, and there was fireworks, and it was an orchestra doing a World War II honoring World War II vets. The music was fabulous. One of the local communities, big group from one of the local independent living, got a really good feeling about that, right? So that's that word of mouth community. And then, of course, your professional referrals. We'll dive more into that on another podcast. Don't want to go too on and on and on. I'm very passionate about this and all the topics. One thing in close, really, about all of the non-paid, if you will, that entire the quality of the pipeline, professional referrals, word of mouth, community involvement, events, increasing your non-paid referral sources is a long game. I think outreach is something that is something that's put on the back burner, something that's put off or avoided for multitude of reasons. And one is we don't know what to say, what to do, where to go, and how to, but because we don't necessarily get immediate gratification from it, it's not that it's not necessarily as fun or gratifying, because it's not like you go out and you all of a sudden get referrals from it. Whereas inside sales, that can be a long game too, but it's the people are coming to you, right? And today you could have a deposit for something that you've never met. The likelihood of going out and doing outreach or doing an event or communicating your referral program, and then boom, getting a referral today is low. But you have to be consistent. It is a long game. It's like a health plan, or any type of personal growth, professional growth. It's a long game. You've got to commit and regularly attend, right? It's like the garden, that there's lots of metaphors and analogies and everything, but the outreach really is it's not a one and done. It's a consistent, regular, and the law of increasing returns does apply here. It really does. In closing, I think the next podcast, I'm going to continue talking about outreach because it is so incredibly important. The one-on-one appointments and the long game needed. But in closing, all right, for chapter 5, at least the first part, really is the feeling very confident, knowing what your prospect pipeline, with the quality of new leads coming in, at what stage of the funnel they're dropping out and why. Being very open to understanding and knowing this, not assuming anything. And the knowing the percentage of paid and unpaid, if you do use aggregators and local referral agencies, the impact of those non-paid, so referred leads, word of mouth, events, community awareness, and the status of your prospects. Some people call it a stage, some people call it a status, or hot, new, hot, warm, cool. Some use future. Make sure that's accurate. What is the status? If you've got 400 prospects, 100 prospects, anywhere in between or more, what percentage is in the cold bucket, and how attended is that? Who is in the warm? What are the definitions of those stages, and make sure that that's accurate, is communicated, and you're looking at it, and that there is commitment to the long game, both with nurturing cooler leads and the long game of the attempt to increase the percentage of the number, okay, and then the percentage of your total database or total new leads of non-paid prospects coming in to inquire. The same goes for digital. That's a whole other conversation. As always, solving the occupancy puzzle it's simple. It's not easy, but there are a lot of puzzle pieces. There's a lot of components. So my efforts to help break this down for you are endless. Keep on, as long as you're with me on the journey. I'm here with you and for you. And as always, my admiration and appreciation for all of you in sales, period, senior living, multifamily, verticals, home care, the verticals of helping older adults and their families and supporting one another through this phenomenal business that you all serve. I'm Julie with Grow Your Occupancy. Thanks for listening in. You can find us on growyouroccupancy.com. Please like, share, subscribe so others can hopefully benefit from this content. Talk to you on the next one.
This webinar is brought to you by SalesMail, the #1 personalized video app for senior living.
Built on a powerful ROI and an unmatched customer experience, SalesMail's App Store ratings tell the only story you need to know. Generating higher click-through and conversion rates, SalesMail is a video app of choice for sales and marketing pros everywhere. Day after day, SalesMail users leverage video to build brand loyalty, create human connection, quickly establish trust, stand out from competitors, and get desired results faster.